I sat in the front row for the Creator Clash boxing match, and here's my opinion on all the fights. Matt Watson versus Dad. I don't have much to say on this one. I got to be in the front row, and I got to be in the VIP section because I am dating one of the fighters, Graham Stephan, and somehow all the people that were VIPs, that's like friends and family of the creators or the coaches, we all got stuck outside while everybody else got to make it in. Matt got TKO'd, or technically knocked out, in the first 22 seconds, so it happened while I was still outside waiting to make it in. The crowd was going so nuts. I did go back through on YouTube a few days later and looked up the fight, and oh man, it was nuts. It's kind of hard for me to tell because A, I'm not a professional boxer, and two, some of the camera angles kind of made it a little difficult, but I counted that Dad punched Mike 26 times in the 22 seconds of the fight. I'm not sure if Matt ended up with a concussion, but he looked super disoriented, and I can't say I blame him. Regardless of if he had a concussion or not, there's no way he didn't sustain injuries, and I'm glad the ref stepped in when they did. Matt still got some really good punches in on Dad, regardless of how many times he got hit. So, big kudos to him for that. Ryan McGee versus Ernst. I do have to give Ryan huge props for this one. He walked into this one knowing that Alex was taller than him and probably knew that he would have a larger wingspan, that's a term I learned, than he would. Ryan could have backed off and stayed away from Alex as much as possible, but Ryan was very aggressive through his whole fight, getting close to Alex, knowing that it was probably going to result in him being punched in the face. Ryan got in quite a few really good hits in the first round, but in the second round, Alex ended up punching Ryan in the face, causing him to bleed. And when I say he was bleeding, I mean he was bleeding. Ryan still kept his A game though and still kept going after this, which again, huge kudos to both of them. 5 rounds is extremely difficult, and kudos to both of them for getting up and doing it. DJ Welch versus Erik, Internet Comment Etiquette. I definitely was expecting before this that Erik would do a little bit better than DJ because Erik had been training this for longer, and Erik was brought in 5 weeks before the event. I was surprised when they came up to see them both wearing headgear. From what I've heard from certain boxing coaches, when you have on the headgear, although it does kind of protect your head, it does leave a bigger target, and then you kind of get punched in the head more, which can lead to more concussions. Also, it kind of limits your perception a little bit of what's going on, so I was surprised. It takes a lot of guts to stand up there. I do think that DJ, while he was definitely less trained than Erik was, had a lot more power and ended up disorienting Erik. In the second round, Erik was TKO'd, causing DJ Welch to win. Why can't I talk today? Causing DJ to win. Alex from I Did a Thing versus James from the Odd Ones Out. I really wanted the Odd Ones Out to win because I love a good underdog story, but the cards were really stacked against him. For one, Alex from I Did a Thing was so much taller than James. I also have been a pretty big fan of James for many years now. I've been around for every single Sprinkle video, and I was actually subscribed to him before the Suaboy video came out, if that lets you know how long I've been watching his channel. James really tried to put up a good fight. He got in quite a few good punches in the beginning, even like completely turning around Alex at one point. Alex ultimately came back from that punch really swinging, and James got TKO'd. I'm not sure if it was for head injury or if it's just because they knew he couldn't defend himself, but in round 2, that fight ended due to TKO, and Alex won. Justaminx versus Yodeling Haley. After learning Anissa was pulled, I definitely expected Justaminx to just absolutely smash Haley. I met Justaminx actually before the whole creator clash thing at an event hosted by Carrot Credit Card, which was like a creator Shark Tank event. And she was telling me and Graham about her training, and I knew that Yodeling Haley was brought in so last minute that Justaminx had months of training on her. Both girls dished out and took some gnarly punches. It started to give me a panic attack about my boyfriend's fight. Haley, in one of the first few rounds, even started to bleed and just did not give a crap. Haley just kept coming at Justaminx, who did not relent. Justaminx won by TKO in the 4th round. I have so much respect for these women, but I'm honestly terrified at how easily they took pain and just the sheer intensity that they had in this ring. Hundar versus AB. Both fighters, to me, looked like they were professionals, which was crazy for an unprofessional charity match. Genuinely with everybody, but especially these two, you could see how much work and dedication they went into learning the sport, and I wanted them both to win. I was genuinely confused for most of this fight who was winning. I think both fighters really held their own, and I have a lot of respect for that. Michael Reeves versus Graham Stephan. When Hundar and AB went up, I was looking at the sheet, and I realized that the only possibility to go next was Graham and Michael. Obviously, it was Team Graham because duh. But I had met Michael before, and I'd really liked him as well, and I didn't want to see either of them get hurt. I know both fighters put a lot into this, but I genuinely just did not want to see them hit each other. As I was reviewing footage before this, I still get so stressed out watching it that I start to tear up, and even talking about it right now, I'm tearing up, and I'm doing just this to try to get it to go away. Each time either one of them got in a good punch, I just felt my heart sink, because it's I don't want to watch you guys get hurt. They definitely did their best to hold their own. Ultimately, in the second round, Michael got one really good punch in, and then got a set of really good punches in, resulting in Graham blacking out. I do have to say they were both very evenly matched, and this was completely a fair fight. After all the fights were over, Graham and I went back to the hotel, and I went to go get him some ice. And I ran into Michael at the elevators, and the first thing out of Michael's mouth was is Graham okay? How is he doing? And I thought that was really sweet and really telling of who Michael is as a person. I told Michael what room we were in if he wanted to come by, and Michael did end up coming by and checking up on Graham. I know that they were talking about meeting up next time Graham and I are back in California, so yeah, I think everything's good between the two fighters. Definitely was the hardest one for me to watch, though. Harley versus Arin. I'll be honest, I didn't watch this fight because I was freaking out after Graham's fight. Rewatching it, Harley definitely seemed a lot less tired than Arin was in the second round, and Harley ended up TKOing Arin. I don't really know much of what happened with this one because, as mentioned, I was trying to get to Graham. iDubbbz versus Dr. Mike. Like the girls earlier, I definitely respect them a lot for going into the ring and doing this, but I am terrified of their intensity and tolerance for pain. At one point, I saw iDubbbz get punched, and instantly when Dr. Mike pulled back the glove, you could see he had just an instant black eye. Gotta give props to iDubbbz because Mike got in some really good hits on him, but he just kept going for it. And vice versa. iDubbbz got some really good hits on Mike, and Mike was just still gonna go. Kudos to both fighters for putting up such an amazing fight. That was honestly incredible to watch. I do want to put in a special thanks to Anissa and iDubbbz for hosting and organizing and doing everything involved of making Creator Clash a reality. I know for the majority of the time while they were orchestrating this event, grabbing the talent, coordinating, doing all this crazy stuff, they were both training to fight, which is insane to me. Both Ian and Anissa are a power couple, and I just can't even imagine trying to put that whole thing on. All the fighters, in my opinion, have crazy mad respect for me, a random small YouTuber, for getting in that ring in front of 10,000 people. Sitting in the crowd was so intense, and I can't imagine having everybody focus on you and another person beating the lights out of each other. So I just have so much respect to these people for agreeing to do it and not even getting paid for it. Watching Graham inspired me so much, and watching him work so hard towards something like this inspired me so much. Obviously, I respect Graham as my partner, but this, I feel made me respect him even more, and I didn't think that was possible. I am so proud of him for putting in all the work and hours and taking time away from other things that he does to do this. So I'm so proud of him. I don't know if Ian and Anissa will put on another one, but if they do, I want to be part of it. Watching the transformation everyone went through to get there was so amazing, and I would love to be a part of that. But I probably am going to need a little bit more of a reach. Obviously, if they're doing this for charity, they want people who are going to be able to pull in an audience. So if you can just subscribe down below so that way I have a shot of getting in next year, that would be great. And with that said, I will see you guys next time.